this week I am back in Chicago and I'm driving something that we haven't seen before. This is the Volvo V60 Recharge, and it is engineered by Polestar, and get this, it's a wagon. So what I'm going to do in this review is I'm going to do a quick walk around, and then we're just going to dig right into 5 good things and 5 bad things on this unique vehicle. Wagons are unique. I'm going to put that out there. All right, my name is Jill Ciminillo, and let's take a closer look at the Volvo V60 Recharge. From the front, it definitely looks distinctly sedan-like because you have the lower ride height and it just looks a lot more petite. But it's once you start moving into the 3/4 view that you see, yep, this is actually a wagon. And I certainly appreciate the wagon-esque styling and shape when I was moving my mom this past weekend, because yeah, I was able to put a lot of stuff in this cargo area. Now, because this is engineered by Polestar, you're going to have a lot of Polestar badging throughout it, but you're also going to have some really unique and special badging. So you've got the gold tire cap, you've got the gold brake calipers, and you can see the Polestar engineered badging on the brake caliper. And yeah, these are Brembo brakes. So what's really interesting is before Polestar became an electric car brand, it was actually the performance version of Volvo. And so you had a lot of cool performance-oriented badging and styling and cues on Volvo vehicles, and that was Polestar engineered. So this, even though it is a plug-in hybrid, does have some more of the performance characteristics to it, because this does have a combined horsepower output of 455. So while you do have the electric capabilities, you do have that performance aspect inside, and yeah, that yellow and gold accenting on the outside is really cool. And you'll notice it carries to the inside as well with these really cool yellow seat belts. Now, popping to the interior, I will say you do have Google built in. You've got your Google Maps that can appear behind the wheel, and you have some really nice accent pieces and trimmings on the seats. So, an attractively styled vehicle, luxury level, super comfortable, and just some unique accents that you've got going on here. So, this is just a quick look of the interior and exterior of the Volvo V60 Recharge. All right, it is now time for me to get into the things that I like and the things that I don't like on the Volvo V60 Recharge. Now, the first thing on the good list has to be this cargo space. You've got 60.5 cubic feet of cargo volume with the seats down, and that gets into SUV territory. So you still have a car-like ride, but then you have all of this great cargo space. So yeah, you can pop this out if you need a little more space in terms of the verticalness of it. But I have to tell you, I was helping my mom move last weekend, and I was able to fit a secretary desk back here and pictures and some other things. So it's wide enough and it's long enough to fit some furniture, as well as maybe a trip to IKEA or Home Depot. So this is the first thing that I really like on the Volvo V60. Drives like a car, but has the utility space of an SUV. Well, cargo space is a big deal. Let's talk about the overall attention to detail. There's some really nice touch points and design elements on the Volvo V60. And, you know, we could even just start with this acrylic Orrefors Sweden gear shift knob. I love how this looks. And this is just a really high luxury, high-end feature that you see on some Volvos. It is an option, but it just, to me, it says Volvo and it's super high-end, and it feels nice. And the great thing about this material is it is never going to overheat or be too cold. So whether you're in the summer or you are in the middle of winter, you're never going to burn your hand or freeze your hand on the gear shift. And I, for one, appreciate that, because yeah, I don't wear gloves in the winter. I know I should, but I don't. You also have some really nice details just on the edges of the knobs and the dials, you know, the vent fan twisty bit. Ooh, and listen to that. That has a nice solid click to it. So when you're turning the vent on and off, you know, you've got the really nice etching on the side of the start-stop engine, which is, you know, you're turning the engine on and off. But just overall, the materials are really well done. And yeah, I'm totally digging these yellow seat belts. So the seats are kind of a blend of wool and Napa leather and, you know, just high-end luxury materials. And if I haven't said it before, they're really comfortable. I drove down to Indianapolis and back, and yeah, these seats are comfortable. So just really appreciating the attention to detail on the V60. So that'll be the second thing that I really like on this vehicle. Next, this has Google built in. So I definitely appreciate the fact that you have the Google operating system here, but one of the things that Volvo has also done is they've given you Apple CarPlay. Now, because I am filming with my phone, I can't, and this is a wired-in system, so I will show you. This is a wired-in system, so it's not wireless. So Google Maps and your Apple CarPlay. So I'm really a huge fan of Google built-in, but the thing is you're going to have a subscription fee eventually, and right now Volvo doesn't know what that subscription fee is going to be because this is still in the free trial phase, and you have 3 years of a free trial, so they haven't named the price yet. But I like Google built-in, but I like the fact that you still can use your Apple CarPlay, and that means that you don't have to get the subscription if you don't want to. So that also gets a thumbs up from me. Next up, let's talk about the fact that this is a plug-in hybrid vehicle. So yeah, when this is at 100% of a charge, you get about 41 miles of all-electric range. I've been driving a little bit this morning, so I'm down to 40 miles of all-electric range, but it just gives you a really nice boost to be able to opt for electric only or hybrid driving, and that extra power is always there when you need it. And Volvo has given you the option to do, you know, set your own system. So if you want the best of both worlds, fuel optimization and, you know, the ability to dip into the gas engine, you can go into hybrid mode. If you want to have all of the fun with the Polestar engineered goodies, that's when you can go into Polestar mode, and it just gives you a sportier feel to the handling. But if you want it to be all electric, you can tip it into pure mode, and that will make it all electric until you run out of all of your electric range. Then you have the ability also to be constant all-wheel drive, so you can kind of set your own driving experience here. And I will point out also, you have like some driving dynamic options if you scroll down from the steering feel to the creep. And essentially what the creep means is when you are in all electric mode, or when you're driving with you know, as an electric vehicle, you get one pedal driving. So and to do that, you use your gear shift, and you can go down into, so you go to drive, and then you go down to B, and that gives you the regenerative braking, and then you can eliminate your creep, which I did, so that you can just get that complete one pedal drive feel. And I like all of that. I like that you can customize your drive experience. Depends on what you're feeling today. If you want to be fuel efficient, you're doing a commute to work downtown in the city, whatever, you can be electric. But if you feel like you want to drive aggressively and you've got some good roads, go into Polestar mode. But if you want to let the car do the heavy lifting for you and make decisions about how the efficiency is going to be doled out, you can go into hybrid mode. So I like the fact that you have options. Now, finally, to round out my like list, I have to talk about the 455 horsepower. This is actually really fun to drive. So I appreciated the instant acceleration when you are in the pure mode, the electric only driving mode. I really liked that. And it continues when you go into the gasoline engine or you're in hybrid mode. This is just a really fast, peppy vehicle, and I never felt like I was struggling to do anything. So this hybrid powertrain system, the Polestar engineered goody bits, the 455 horsepower definitely rounds out my like list, because even though this is a wagon, this is actually really fun to drive. And on that note, it is time to get into some of the things that I did not like about the Volvo V60 Recharge. All right, first up, we're going to start with this area right here, because there are actually three things going on right here that I don't like. And the first thing is, to me, the most obvious: there is no place to set your phone while you're driving. And yeah, you can put it in your cup holder, but it just seems like there should be a little slot right here, or a space right here, or something, some place to put your phone, because if you have two passengers and you both have beverages, you're not going to be able to put it here. And the second thing that I don't like is you're really not going to be able to put it here either, because this storage area is pretty much non-existent. I've got some phone cords, some headphones, some gum packs, my chapstick, but this is not deep. This is not really a good storage space for anything. And if you put anything in here, you're not going to be able to set your phone there. And so I wish that this area was a little bit deeper, or there needs to be something. This barely fits. It barely fits the very minimal stuff that I have in this vehicle. So no place to set your phone, and no real storage in this center area here. And, people will be like, well, you can put it in the glove box. Well, you could put it in the glove box. This is a fairly decent space, but, I don't know. I would forget it in there, and it's really far away, and I want a place to set my phone here. So the third thing that I'm going to point out here is, you've got black lacquer. Well, they've done a really good job with most of the materials in the V60. The black lacquer, this piano black, dusty, scratchy stuff, is not my favorite. And I mention this in pretty much every video that has black lacquer, but so far automakers have not gotten the message. And yeah, this just, it needs to go away. Now, for the final two things that are on the bad list or the do not like list, we're gonna come back to the infotainment system. So I don't not like the infotainment system. We've already discussed that. I like the Google built-in. But this screen is just a little bit smaller than what we have gotten used to in recent years. It's probably about 11 inches. And we're seeing screens that are 12.3 inches, 13.2 inches, 15 inches, 17 inches. We're seeing a lot bigger screens these days. So this just looks a little bit small. And I mean, if you're not a tech forward person, not a big deal. You'll get used to it. But where this comes into play is when you are looking at the reverse or backup camera. To me, this just looks a little bit small, and I want a little more detail. I want it to be a little bit bigger. I want it to be a little bit more close up. Now, one of the advantages of this camera is you do have a 360 camera, but even so, there's a lot of space on either side of the vehicle. I want this image to generally be a little bit bigger. I just feel like this is super small, and when I was backing into my garage, I had a really hard time gauging how close I actually was to my neighbor's car, to the debris that we have in the back of the garage. It didn't give me, yes, you get a really good overall picture of the car and kind of what it's near, but it doesn't give you that close-up view. Now, you can do stuff like this to be able to get different views and angles, and I do like that, but I feel like the image itself should be just a little bit bigger. So I think all of that might be just the product of the smaller screen. Now, the final thing that I want to talk about with this is, we'll put it back in park, but just the overall system is a little bit clunky to use and slightly unintuitive. So this right here is going to be your home button, and it brings you back to your main screen here. And then you can go here, and this will show all of the apps that you've downloaded from the Google Play Store. And then you have this right here, which will take you into some of your settings. Now, one thing I was trying to find and I was not able to find, and so owners, by the way, if you know the answer to this, please feel free to comment below. I could not find the general area where you are able to get your fuel economy. So you can see right here your range numbers, but I didn't actually see your fuel economy. So you can come into here to get your driving modes and some of your driving support and safety systems that you can turn on and off. You know, sound settings, connectivity, controls, all that. But whether I was in this home area, because this isn't it either, or I was in the app area, or I was in the settings, I couldn't find a way to actually see what my real miles per gallon was. There's no trip computer that shows that. And if you like hit this button here, the only thing that does is it either adds your map in or takes it away. So I find some of these controls to be a little bit over the top. And surely it's something that an owner would get used to, maybe. My sister-in-law actually owns a Volvo, and she's owned Volvos for like 10 years. And I was in her car, and she was using the backup camera, and I'm like, you know there's a 360 camera here, right? And she was like, what? And I like tapped the screen and showed her, and she was like, oh, interesting. I never knew that. Like 10 years as an owner, and she didn't know that. So maybe that's not stuff you would figure out. So I don't know. I think this is a little convoluted and overly complicated, and I wish it was simplified and a little bit more intuitive. All right, that is just a quick look at the Volvo V60 Recharge and the things that I liked and the things that I didn't like on this vehicle. But if I had to summarize, overall, I would say this is one of those incredibly near-perfect vehicles. I know that's a little convoluted myself, but it has car-like driving dynamics. It's fun to drive, yet you get the boost and bonus of having the extra cargo space in the back to haul things occasionally. It's comfortable, it drives really well, and I like the all-electric range, especially living in a place like Chicago, and the fact that it goes up to 41 miles per gallon of all-electric range is also really good. I hate it when they only give you like 20. So in sum, I like the Volvo V60 Recharge. I think it's a great vehicle. Thank you for sticking with me through this review, and I will see you down the road.